Ma'am, step away from the stroller. Now. You can't keep that seat. It's not yours. Security, I need help at gate C27. The words cut through the airport like a snapped cable. The baby didn't cry. He just stared up, wide-eyed, as the woman's hand hovered over the curved handle of the support seat. Her fingers trembled, not with fear, but with certainty. The kind that says I'm right. The terminal lights hummed overhead. Boarding music faded into murmurs. Shoes squeaked against polished floor. Somewhere, a printer jammed. Please, said the mother. Her voice stayed low. Steady. Don't touch him. The woman scoffed. I paid for this upgrade. They told me it was available. That support is medical, the gate agent said, trying to smile. It's assigned. I don't care what it's for. The woman snapped. My back is bad. And that thing, she gestured at the baby, doesn't need a whole seat. A ripple moved through the line. Phones came out, half hidden. A man in a veteran's cap frowned. A flight attendant froze mid-step. The mother adjusted the blanket, shielding the baby's chest where soft straps held him in place. A small card hung from the handle, white with a blue seal. It clicked gently as it swayed. There's one thing I haven't told you yet, the gate agent said, voice thinning. If that support is disturbed, we stop boarding. Do it, the woman said. I'm not moving. The baby made a small sound. Not a cry. A breath. Ma'am. The agent tried again, louder now. Step back. The woman leaned in instead. Her hand closed around the handle. That's when the sound changed. Not voices. Not music. Boots. Heavy. Fast. In sync. From the far end of the terminal, 6 figures moved with purpose. Dark jackets. Badges catching the light. No rush, no panic, just direction. People parted without being asked. Someone whispered, Are those? The mother didn't look up. She pressed her palm to the baby's back, feeling the steady rise and fall. Her jaw tightened, not in fear, but in resolve. The woman turned, color draining from her face. What is this? I didn't do anything. A badge clicked open. Federal agents, a calm voice said. Ma'am, release the support. Now. The terminal fell silent. Phones were no longer hidden. The baby blinked. And right then, before anyone explained why those agents were there, before anyone noticed the name on the card, before the real reason this gate mattered, boarding was suspended. Because this next part changes everything. Enjoying this? Tap subscribe for tomorrow's story. Boarding remained frozen. The screen above gate C27 flickered from now boarding to please wait. A soft chime sounded, then died. The air felt heavier, as if the terminal itself had leaned in. The agents stopped 10 feet from the stroller. They didn't touch anyone. They didn't raise their voices. One of them, tall with close-cropped gray hair, lifted a hand. Gate supervisor, he said. Pause all activity. The gate agent nodded quickly. Yes, sir. The woman who had reached for the support seat pulled her hand back as if burned. This is ridiculous, she said, but the words lacked force now. I just asked a question. No, the agent replied, eyes steady. You attempted to remove assigned medical support. It's a baby, the woman said. Babies sit on laps. The mother finally looked up. Her name was Rachel Thompson. 32. Neat posture. Calm eyes that had learned patience the hard way. She didn't raise her voice when she spoke. My son doesn't, Rachel said. The baby shifted, a faint rustle under the blanket. The small white card tapped again against the handle. Click. Click. One of the federal agents glanced at it, then away. As if checking something already confirmed. There's more to this than you think, the agent said to the woman. Please step aside. I paid for priority boarding, the woman insisted. I have rights. So does the child, the agent replied. A man in line cleared his throat. She told you it was medical, he said. You heard her. Another voice followed. Just leave them alone. The woman turned, searching for support. She found none. Rachel felt her pulse in her ears. She focused on the baby's breathing. In. Out. The same rhythm she counted during long nights in the hospital months ago. The same rhythm that reminded her why she carried that card. But here's what most people miss. Rachel hadn't planned to explain anything today. She had chosen silence on purpose. Because every explanation invited debate. Every detail became something strangers felt entitled to judge. The tall agent stepped closer, just enough for Rachel to hear him without anyone else noticing. Ms. Thompson, he said quietly. Are you okay to continue standing? Rachel nodded. Yes, sir. He glanced at the baby. Support secure? Yes. The agent straightened. Louder now. Ma'am, he said to the woman. You will move to the seating area immediately. This is discrimination. The woman snapped. You're all acting like I attacked someone. You interfered with protected medical equipment, the agent said. That's not a misunderstanding. A murmur rolled through the gate. Phones were fully raised now. No one hid them anymore. The woman's face flushed. This is going online, she warned. All of it. The agent nodded once. That's fine. Rachel swallowed. Her hand brushed the edge of the card. She didn't turn it. She didn't show it. Not yet. Because there was one thing she hadn't told anyone in this terminal. Not the gate agent. Not the passengers. Not even the woman who tried to take the support. The agents hadn't arrived by chance. And gate C27 wasn't just another gate. If you want the full truth, hit like so this story reaches more people. The boarding door remained closed. And the reason why was about to surface. The woman was escorted to a chair near the windows. She sat stiffly, arms crossed, eyes darting between the agents and the stroller as if the situation might still turn in her favor. It didn't. Rachel felt the quiet settle around her. Not peace, anticipation. The kind that waits for a truth to surface. The baby stirred. She adjusted the blanket again, careful not to disturb the straps beneath. The support seat wasn't large. It wasn't dramatic. Just molded padding, a stabilizing frame, and that small white card clipped to the handle. Click. Click. A flight attendant leaned in. Ma'am, she whispered. Can I get you water? Rachel nodded. Thank you. As the attendant walked away, a man in a navy blazer stepped forward. I saw everything, he said gently. You handled it with grace. Rachel gave a small smile. Thank you. But she didn't relax. Because there was something about the agent's timing that didn't sit right. They hadn't rushed from security. They hadn't been summoned by the gate agent. They had arrived already knowing where to stand. One of the agents spoke quietly into his sleeve. Another checked his watch. Time mattered. Rachel glanced at the screen above the gate. Delayed. No explanation. A child down the row asked his mother why they weren't boarding. The mother shrugged. Something important, she said. Rachel's thoughts drifted, just for a moment, to 3 months earlier. A different terminal. Different lights. A doctor's voice, careful and slow. Forms signed. Conditions agreed upon. Instructions clear. This next part changes everything, the doctor had said back then. You won't see it. But others will. Rachel had nodded, not fully understanding. Now she did. The gate supervisor approached, lowering her voice. Ms. Thompson, we may need to ask you a few questions. Rachel met her eyes. Of course. The supervisor hesitated. About the card. Rachel's fingers stilled. It's valid, Rachel said. Current. Federal. The supervisor inhaled. That's what they told us. Across the gate, the woman in the chair laughed sharply. Unbelievable, she called out. All this for a baby seat. The tall agent turned to her. Ma'am, please remain quiet. This is America, the woman said. People can ask questions. Yes, the agent replied. And sometimes answers arrive faster than expected. Phones zoomed in. Rachel felt the moment tightening, like a held breath. She knew what came next, but not how it would land. Because once the truth surfaced, there would be no taking it back. And not everyone watching would like it. If you believe she deserved justice, comment dignity below. The agent nodded to another officer. Proceed, he said. The officer reached, not for the stroller, but for the card. Click. The sound was small. The effect would not be. The officer didn't lift the card. He turned it, just enough for the seal to face outward. A hush swept the gate. It wasn't dramatic at first. No gasps. No shouting. Just a subtle shift as people leaned forward, trying to read what they weren't meant to see from 10 feet away. The tall agent spoke clearly. Calmly. This child is traveling under a federally authorized medical protection order. The words landed unevenly, like stones skipping across water. The woman near the windows shot to her feet. That's not a thing, she said. You're making that up. It is a thing, the agent replied. And it's not common. Rachel felt her throat tighten. She had promised herself she wouldn't cry. Not here. Not now. The gate supervisor swallowed. Sir, she said, does that mean? It means, the agent interrupted gently, that this support seat is non-removable. Any interference is a federal matter. A man in line whispered. Federal? Another voice. For a baby? Phones adjusted. Someone zoomed closer. The baby blinked, unfazed by the weight of the moment. His fingers curled around the edge of the blanket. Rachel finally spoke. My son was born with a condition, she said. It's invisible. But it's real. She paused. Let the words breathe. There's one thing I haven't told you yet, she continued. This support isn't just for comfort. It prevents a collapse. The woman shook her head. You should have said something. Rachel met her gaze. I did. The agent stepped forward again. We are here, he said, because this gate is part of a monitored travel corridor. That got attention. What does that mean? Someone asked. It means, the agent said, that certain passengers are pre-cleared for protection due to prior threats or risks. The woman's mouth opened. Closed. Threats? She whispered. Rachel looked down at her son. Her voice softened. Not today, she said. But before. Silence followed. The agent checked his watch again. We're on schedule, he said into his sleeve. Rachel's heart skipped. Schedule for what? The gate agent leaned in. Sir, she asked quietly, are we clear to resume boarding? Not yet, he said. We're waiting on confirmation. From where? That question hung unanswered. Type yes if you want to see all targets hit at once. The baby made another small sound. A breath. A reminder. Rachel tightened her grip on the stroller handle. Because whatever confirmation they were waiting for, it was already moving. And when it arrived, nothing about this flight would be ordinary again. The confirmation didn't arrive with a sound. It arrived with movement. 2 more agents appeared at the edge of the terminal, not in a rush, but not wandering either. They stopped beside the windows, scanning faces, hands, bags. One nodded once toward the gate. The tall agent's earpiece crackled. Copy that, he said softly. Rachel felt it then, that subtle shift when a moment tips past return. The gate agent cleared her throat. Ladies and gentlemen, she announced, forcing calm. Thank you for your patience. No one moved. No one sat. They were all waiting. The woman near the windows lowered herself back into the chair, slower this time. Her confidence had thinned into something brittle. What kind of threats? A man asked from the line. Against a baby? The agent didn't answer right away. He studied the crowd, as if deciding how much truth the room could carry. Online, he said finally. And once in person. Rachel closed her eyes for half a second. There it was. The thing she hadn't wanted to explain. The thing that turned ordinary days into carefully planned routes and approved travel windows. This next part changes everything, the agent continued. The child's condition is rare. Publicized. That creates risk. A woman whispered. Oh my God! The baby shifted again. Rachel rocked the stroller gently, grounding herself in the motion. The woman in the chair spoke, quieter now. I didn't know, she said. Rachel looked at her. Really looked. I know, Rachel replied. That's the problem. A pause followed. Heavy. Uncomfortable. The gate supervisor approached again. Sir, she said, the flight crew is asking if they should deplane. No, the agent said. We're almost done. Almost done with what? Rachel felt the question tighten in her chest. The agent turned to her. Ms. Thompson, he said, I need to confirm something aloud. Rachel nodded. Your son is traveling under temporary federal observation, he said. Correct? Yes. And the support seat, he continued, is part of a monitored safety protocol. Yes. The agent turned slightly so the crowd could hear. That protocol includes immediate response if interference occurs. A low murmur rippled through the gate. Phones were no longer just recording. They were broadcasting. Rachel realized, dimly, that this moment would travel far beyond gate C-27. The woman's voice cracked. So I could have. Yes, the agent said. You could have caused harm. Silence slammed down. The baby let out a soft sigh. Rachel felt tears threaten again. She blinked them back. Because this wasn't the end. It was the crossroads. The agent touched his earpiece once more. Listened. Then he straightened. Confirmation received, he said. Rachel's breath caught. Boarding will resume, he announced. Under escort. Relief fluttered then stopped. However, he added, there is one outstanding matter. Every eye locked onto him. The woman near the windows shrank back. The agent's gaze didn't leave her. Interference with protected medical equipment requires review, he said. Here. Now. A second agent stepped forward. And in that moment, Rachel understood something she hadn't before. This wasn't just about her son. It was about what happened when dignity met documentation, and someone tried to take it away. Share this video so communities understand what was hiding. The agent reached for his cuffs. The cuffs never closed. The second agent stopped halfway, his hand hovering, not over the woman's wrists, but over his earpiece. Hold, he said quietly. The tall agent turned. What is it? The reply came fast. Controlled. Urgent. ID confirmed, the voice said. She's flagged. The word landed harder than the threat of arrest. The woman froze. Flagged for what? She demanded, trying to stand again. Remain seated, the agent said. Rachel's heart began to race, not with fear, but confusion. Flagged how? The agent facing the woman opened a small tablet. Scrolled once. Then again. His jaw tightened. There's one thing I haven't told you yet, he said, not to Rachel, but to the gate supervisor and the crowd. This incident didn't trigger our presence, he continued. It confirmed it. A murmur rolled through the gate. Confirmed what? Someone whispered. The agent turned the tablet slightly so the supervisor could see. Not the crowd. Just enough. The supervisor's eyes widened. The woman's voice trembled now. You can't look at my records. I didn't consent. The agent met her gaze. You consented when you attempted to remove protected equipment. Rachel felt the twist forming, but not the one she expected. This passenger, the agent said louder now, has a documented pattern of confrontations involving medical accommodations. The woman shook her head. That's not true. Airports, the agent continued. Public transit. Hospitals. Phones surged higher. Rachel's stomach dropped. This wasn't about a misunderstanding. It never had been. The agent tapped the screen once. You were warned in Denver. Formally. The woman's lips parted. No sound came out. Rachel suddenly understood why the agents had been waiting. Why Gate C-27 mattered. Why the response had been immediate. The baby shifted. The card clicked once more. This support seat, the agent said, gesturing toward Rachel's stroller, wasn't the first one you tried to remove. The words sucked the air from the terminal. Someone gasped. Loudly. That's a lie, the woman whispered. No, the agent replied. It's a record. Rachel felt something break open in her chest, not anger, but clarity. This wasn't just about her son's safety. It was about stopping a pattern. The agent turned to Rachel. His voice softened. Ms. Thompson, he said, you and your son were never the target. Rachel frowned. Then why? Because, he said gently, your documentation triggered a long-awaited confirmation. The woman began to cry. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just the sound of someone realizing the ground is gone. The agent nodded to his partner. Proceed, he said. This time, the cuffs closed. Click. And with that sound, the power in the terminal shifted completely. Because the real twist wasn't who Rachel was. It was who the woman had already shown herself to be. The woman didn't resist. That, more than anything, stunned the crowd. Her shoulders sagged as the cuffs settled. The fight drained out of her face, leaving something smaller behind. The kind of silence that follows when denial finally runs out of places to hide. I didn't hurt anyone, she said weakly. Not today, the tall agent replied. But intent matters. He guided her gently to her feet. No spectacle. No force. Just procedure. Rachel watched, her hands still on the stroller, her body unmoving. She felt as if she were watching a scene meant for someone else, until the baby exhaled, warm and real, and pulled her back into herself. The gate supervisor swallowed hard. Sir, she said, are we safe? Yes, the agent answered. Because this ends here. The woman was escorted away, past rows of silent passengers. Phones followed her, but fewer now. The moment had shifted from outrage to reckoning. A man whispered, She's done this before? Yes, another replied. That's what they said. Rachel felt eyes turn back to her, not accusatory now, but searching. Curious. Respectful. She hadn't asked for that either. The tall agent returned to the gate. Ms. Thompson, he said, thank you for your composure. Rachel nodded. Thank you for coming. He paused. You knew we would. She did. Because the paperwork had been clear. Because the warnings had been explicit. Because the system, slow as it was, had finally learned to listen when dignity came with documentation. The agent turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, boarding will resume. A collective breath released. As passengers lined up again, something subtle happened. People gave Rachel space. Not distance, room. A quiet acknowledgement. The man in the veteran's cap tipped his hat. Ma'am, he said. You did right. Rachel swallowed. So did you, she replied. The gate agent scanned Rachel's pass herself. Carefully. Respectfully. Pre-board when you're ready, she said. Rachel rolled forward. The stroller wheels hummed softly. The card swung once more. Click. But here's what most people miss. The real fallout wasn't happening in the terminal. It was already moving through systems that had ignored similar warnings before. Policies. Watch lists. Training manuals. The woman's removal wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of a correction. Rachel crossed the threshold into the jet bridge. The sound changed. Enclosed. Quieter. She paused, just once, and looked back. The gate stood open. But something invisible had closed for good. The fallout didn't arrive with sirens or headlines. It arrived quietly. Methodically. The way real change often does. 2 days later, in a windowless conference room miles from the airport, a report was read aloud. Names were redacted. Locations generalized. But the pattern was unmistakable. Repeated confrontations. Targeted challenges to medical accommodations. Escalations dismissed as customer disputes. Until now. This incident, a supervisor said, tapping the folder, met the threshold we've been missing. Someone asked. Because of the child? No, the supervisor replied. Because of the documentation and the witness density. That phrase stuck. Witness density. Phones. Videos. Clear audio. No shouting. No chaos. Just a clean record of intent and interference. The woman's prior warnings were reclassified. What had once been treated as isolated behavior was now linked. Airports shared notes. Transit authorities compared reports. A line was finally drawn where there hadn't been one before. Back in Dallas, the gate agent from C-27 sat through a new training session. The slide on the screen read, "Medical support is not optional." She recognized the photo example immediately. Not the baby's face, blurred, but the support seat. The card. The clip. Click. She felt a strange mix of pride and shame. Pride for doing the right thing eventually. Shame for how close it had come to being undone. Meanwhile, Rachel landed without incident. The flight crew had been briefed. The seat was secured. No one questioned her. No one asked for explanations. For the first time in months, Rachel didn't brace herself during landing. She allowed herself to breathe. A week later, an internal memo circulated through multiple agencies. Short. Direct. Unemotional. Immediate response protocols updated. Interference equals escalation. De-escalation does not mean delay. No names. No praise. Just correction. Rachel never saw the memo. She didn't know about the conference room or the slide deck or the reclassified warnings. What she noticed instead were smaller things. At her next flight, the gate agent knelt to speak to her son before scanning the pass. At a hospital visit, a nurse asked if the support seat needed extra clearance instead of questioning its presence. At a grocery store, a stranger reached for the stroller, then stopped. Asked. Waited. Dignity had become visible. But there was one more ripple Rachel didn't expect. 3 weeks after Gate C-27, she received a call. "Ms. Thompson," the voice said, professional but warm. "We're reviewing cases similar to yours. Would you be willing to provide feedback?" Rachel hesitated. She looked at her son, asleep now, safe in the quiet of the living room. "There's one thing I haven't told you yet," she said slowly. "I'm tired." The voice softened. "We understand." Rachel closed her eyes. The fatigue was real. Bone deep. But so was the memory of that hand reaching for the support. Of the click of the card. Of the moment the system finally stood up. "Yes," Rachel said. "I'll help." Because fallout isn't about punishment. It's about what changes after the noise fades. And this story wasn't finished yet. Resolution didn't come all at once. It came in increments. Rachel sat at her kitchen table, a mug of cooling tea beside her, sunlight stretching across the floor. Her son lay nearby, supported calm. The room was quiet except for the soft tick of the clock. The first meeting was virtual. Faces in small squares. Titles beneath names. "Thank you for being here, Ms. Thompson," a woman said. "We'll keep this brief." Rachel appreciated that. They didn't ask her to relive the airport. They didn't push for emotion. They asked practical questions. What was said? What was touched? What worked? What almost didn't? Rachel answered carefully. Clearly. "There's one thing I want to emphasize," she said near the end. "I didn't need special treatment. I needed consistent treatment." Several faces nodded. A week later, a follow-up email arrived. Then another. Small adjustments. Language changes. Clearer signage. A note about non-removable medical supports added to public-facing guidance. Rachel read it twice. Not because it was perfect. Because it existed. The next time she flew, something different happened. As she approached the gate, the agent looked at the support seat and didn't flinch. Didn't question. Didn't call a supervisor. She scanned the pass. Smiled. Pre-board when you're ready, Ms. Thompson. That was it. No audience. No tension. Just normal. Rachel felt a lump rise in her throat, not from fear this time, but relief. On the plane, a woman across the aisle leaned over. He's beautiful, she said softly. Rachel smiled. Thank you? No hands reached. No assumptions made. The flight was smooth. The landing gentle. At home, Rachel placed the card back into its folder. She paused, fingers resting on the clip. Click. Only once this time. She realized something then. The support seat had never been the real issue. It was what it represented. Boundaries. Proof. The quiet power of being prepared in a world that often isn't. Rachel still carried the fatigue. The vigilance didn't vanish overnight. But something had shifted. She no longer felt alone inside the system. And sometimes that's enough to let your shoulders drop. That night, as she rocked her son to sleep, she whispered, "You don't know it yet. But you helped a lot of people." The baby slept on. Outside, a plane crossed the sky, its lights steady and distant. Moving forward. 3 months later. The terminal in Columbus was quieter than Dallas had been. Smaller. Softer. The kind of airport where people still made eye contact. Rachel stood at the window, rocking the stroller gently. Her son slept, one hand curled against the blanket. The support seat was there, unchanged, unobtrusive. The card hung from the handle. Click. Once. A gate agent approached, a woman in her 40s with reading glasses and a calm smile. She didn't ask questions. She didn't hesitate. "Ms. Thompson," she said, reading the name carefully. "You're welcome to pre-board any time." Rachel nodded. "Thank you." The agent lowered her voice. "We had a training update," she added. "Your case was instructive." Rachel absorbed that word. Instructive. Not controversial. Not difficult. Just clear. As Rachel moved toward the jet bridge, a man stepped aside to make room. A woman held the door open without being asked. No one stared. No one whispered. Normal had arrived quietly. On the plane, Rachel settled in. The seat fit. The straps held. The baby breathed easily. She glanced at the card one last time before tucking it into the side pocket. Click. That was the third, and final, time. Later, at cruising altitude, Rachel allowed herself a small luxury. She closed her eyes. Not from exhaustion. From trust. Because dignity had held. Documentation had worked. And a system, imperfect, slow, human, had changed just enough to matter. If this shocked you, comment change below. Before we end, remember this. If you believe dignity matters, tap like. If you've ever seen quiet courage, share your thoughts below. And if you want stories that remind us what's possible, subscribe to True Heart Story, because tomorrow's story is already waiting. Yendi, thanks for watching.